Do you
big.
do voice? Do you like voice warm ups?
Not really, not really.
No, I know some people do.
Do you know what my voice warm up is? Yeah, my voice warm up is like singing. So like I'll like sing or rap to whatever I'm playing on Spotify just to like get my words out and to like when you haven't spoken all day, like some things might not come out right. So I'll always like have music playing in the morning and I'll just vibe and have a good time.
That's good. Oh shit, we're recording, so I don't know.
Yeah. I'm keeping this in. This in. Hey everyone, this is Dorrani and Connor from VG247. I'm feeling great this morning. Connor, how are you, man?
I'm feeling really, really good. It's just been a really, really good time recently.
Yeah, that is it. That's what's up. It's good vibes in here, and we're gonna be discussing a great game, which is Lost Ark. Specifically with Lost Ark, we're gonna be discussing the end game. Specifically to the end game is the T1 content because there's T2 and T3 also, but we're not there yet. This is an MMO, right? So there is like hundreds, if not thousands of hours to be put into this game, and the servers just won't allow us to put in those hours right now.
Yeah. There's been so many times where I've finished work and I'll be like, oh, okay, I haven't been able to queue up yet. I'll get in the queue now. I'll get some hours in like in a bit. It'll be great. And then you hit like a 10k queue.
Yeah, the servers are a monstrosity right now. The servers are absolutely shocking. And I can say that and not feel guilty about saying it, because the game is great, but the servers are really holding it back right now because Lost Ark is a bit bigger than everyone thought, innit? Like, I don't think anyone like could see how much of an impact it was going to have and how much demand there was going to be, because it had 500,000 founders. So that is people that wanted to, because Lost Ark's free to play, right? But the founders could have put in, I think it's like the bronze was like £15 and it went all the way up to platinum, which was £100. You get a load of in-game stuff and you get to play 3 days early. So 3 days before the game launched, it had 500,000 players who basically saying, I want to invest into this game, right? And the servers died.
Because it's hard to figure out how big these games will be, you know. MMOs from like Korea or like other countries in like the East get transferred over time, and sometimes they do really well, like Lost Ark, which is kind of like done crazy well, and then sometimes they don't quite do. You know, it's hard to tell. You know, even if Lost Ark is this massively popular game already, you know, how could you foresee 1 million plus concurrent?
Yep, 1 million
free to play.
1.2, I think, concurrent players on Steam, which is not easy to do. There is
wild.
3 other games that have done that. That is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, that is CSGO, and Dota. Those are all massive games. And it really just says to everyone, okay, this game is a big deal. Can we sort of say it's going to last? Like, how long? What's the shelf life for all of this hype? But you have to remember that this game has been out for 4 years already in Korea, right? So there is, like, when I speak about T1, T2, and T3, the game started off 4 years ago with T1 content, and then the next content drop was T2, and then T3. So they just kept adding, and Korea still has more stuff than we do. I think we're only a couple of months behind in the West, but there is so much to keep people hooked. So let's get into it, man. So I think the notion with like MMORPGs, right, is to rush the end game, like the questing and the leveling from 1 to 50 or 1 to whatever the max level is in whatever MMO. Like, that's just the tutorial, right? You're just learning things and you just kind of like getting your bearings. And I think everyone just wants to rush the end game and just start doing the loop that whatever game is providing, right? So how did you feel about the 1 to 50? Did it feel like tedious? Did it feel long? Did you just want to get to the end game because you knew what was there? Or like, how was it for you?
Yeah, so for me, I did a lot of it solo. I was kind of powering through in order to get like content up for the site, like writing guides, so I had to be on top of stuff. Usually when I play games like this, I take my time and I kind of scour each zone as I go. So it was kind of a weird way of me leveling through Lost Ark. But going back to the original zones, if you don't just power through those main quests, which you totally can, and you hit level 50 way before the story's over, like you get to that end game point and burn real quick. If you go back, there's all sorts of like fun little side quests you can do. Hidden items that give you like that you can trade into certain merchants for like skill point upgrades or just other character upgrades or like roster XP. There's a lot there. It feels quite. It's like packed full of stuff. And there's a lot of reasons to go back to these earlier zones anyway. But leveling's pretty good. You know, the mix of like short, like small little mini like instances in the story where you go up to some like ruined castle, or you you know, go into like a building and something's going on, and they like these dungeons that seem to like finish up zones are quite great, and there's good pacing throughout the entire thing. I'm not the biggest traditional fantasy fan, so that first zone wasn't quite my thing, but then the game does a really good job.
Are you talking about like high fantasy, like Lord of the Rings,
knights and castles and stuff? So that's not really my bag, but like you leave that first zone and then the game is really good at mixing up the sort of areas you go to. So overall, leveling was great. I had a lot of time for it.
Yeah, it was fun. I didn't like how every single sort of cutscene ended up with, so the main, like one of the main protagonists, his name's Armin, is like the holy knight who's part demon. Every fight ends up with like this Dragon Ball Z like Kamehameha, and I was like, what is, every single cutscene was the same. But saying that though, it was still pretty fun. I would say the first up to level 30, I was playing, like reading all of the dialogue, but you see after level 30, see the G key on my keyboard, I couldn't like the way I was spamming the G key, I actually think it is. I'm looking at it now, to be honest, and I think my G key has been worn out because the way I was spamming just to get through. Not to say that it gets tedious, but I think you can, even if you're spamming to like get through, you have an idea of what's going on, right? Like you're not too far removed from what's going on in the story. It's not that complex where you're like, I'm totally lost, right? But I had fun with it. It wasn't too bad. As you said, there's loads of quests that you can do, which I recommend that people do because this is an MMO, man. This game isn't going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. No.
It's really not going anywhere, and there's so much to do. But if you are listening to this, you can reach level 50 just doing the story quest. You don't have to do any of the side quests. They did adjust for that because they knew people would just want to take the golden line straight to endgame, which is totally fine. This is your like, as a player, especially free to play games, this is your game. You play it however you want. But just know there's certain side quests, they're marked a little bit differently, that have some have exclamation points, and then some have exclamation point with like a ring going around it, which means that it offers something like tangible. So it will be like skill points, because you only have a finite number of skill points, right? And then these ones, you get potions that extend the amount of skill points you can use. But all in all, say that to say, the 1 to 50 experience wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. I've played quite a few MMOs now, and this one was enjoyable, especially because this is like brand new, coming from like a region of the world where they're just flashy with it, man. The Korean like games, they're just flashy. Everything's so fun. The moves are sick to do. Great. So we're at the end game now, right? End games in games, MMORPGs. This is where everyone sort of takes a step back. They're shown everything that is on offer, all of the activities, and this is the place where people say and they evaluate: am I going to be putting a lot of time into this for much longer, right? And I want to know, like, from what you've played of the end game so far, do you see yourself like putting in a lot of time going forward?
Yeah, I see myself doing it because it's built in a way that I really like. It's very much sort of like they're like these milestones, these checkpoints, these clear goals you're trying to reach. And you're introduced to that through obviously your gear level. You get to level 50 and it's like, okay, here's the first end game activity you can do. You can do it. It's like you can just do level 1. I think it's level 1 Chaos Dungeons is the earliest you can do. We'll get into that later about what that specifically is. And then from there, by just doing that and gearing up and following like your welcome guide, which has like a tab for like gear progression,
which is amazing, by the way.
Really, really great.
Amazing.
Yeah, if you just want if you're just unsure what to do at any point, you can just look at that and then you can get a goal you can just go for.
Yeah, so and that wasn't always there. Sorry to cut you.
No, go for it. Go ahead. Like, no, you're right.
I think about the fact that wasn't actually there until its Western release. I couldn't imagine the confusion of what to do when you reach Fern Castle and you're just like,
because it all opens up. It all opens up so much. You're given access to all these things for like these introduction quests, all these different avenues, right? But I like it because it's very much like you build up a character, you get to these next stages of these more difficult like content, and then you go up and up and up and up and up and up. And it's very clear cut, and I like that a lot. And I also like it because of sort of like the diversity of endgame activities there are. If you play like WoW, it's basically heroic dungeons, mythic dungeons, and then raids, right? And difficulties of that. But you've got like tons of different sort of like options for like things you can do once you hit 50, once you hit Burn Castle, and you're like free to do what you want.
And it's almost like, I think you get choice paralysis, and there is, do you know what it is as well? Speaking about like structure in teaching you all of these endgame activities, I think there's an illusion of choice, because really you can only do chaos dungeons right at the start. There's an illusion of choice because it shows you, and this is a problem that happens at the very start of the game as well, which I think they need to adjust. It will show you everything, but you're only allowed to do a few things. And I think they need to just like not show you the possibilities and let you like focus and then give it to you in stages, which they do, but they might scare some people off when they show everyone everything straight away, because I thought, what the hell? There's all of these systems, all of these things to do, which is a little bit weird. But as you said, there's a lot going on here. I think how long I stay with the game is up in the air at the moment, because we have to speak about this in real time. So today is the 17th of February, and this month is a big month, if you like, MMORPGs and open world games, because we have Lost Ark is out, we have Horizon Forbidden West that is coming out, we have Destiny 2 The Witch Queen, another big massive MMORPG. We have Elden Ring, and then we even have like Tiny Tina next month, right? There's a lot of open world, there's a lot of questing going to be happening, and it's something that I've actually said to myself. I said this to my friend yesterday in Discord. I was like, I'm trying my hardest not to get open world fatigue, because it is a real thing. Because like I've done this in Horizon 1, where I'm a bit of a completionist, right? But to my own detriment, because I will play and do all of the side quests, all of the main missions. I'll do everything. Like I'm doing side quests until I'm like super strong. Like, but it gets to a certain point where I burn out and I won't finish the game. So even though, regardless of how good Horizon is, I've done it in God of War as well. Regardless of how good the game is, I'll just burn out, I'll fizzle out, and I won't make it to the end of the game. I have to come back in like a month or two to come back and finish the game. And I don't want that to happen with the slew of games that's coming out. But the way that they do the end game content in Lost Ark is quite forgiving, especially with the rest bonus. I had this noted in the notes to say to speak about this at the end, but the rest bonus, it forgives you for not treating the game like it's a day job. Basically.
You can miss some stuff, and it will be like, that's totally fine. You know, life is what it is, and sometimes you can't log in to pay. Your MMO.
It's compensation, right? I will be sticking around like throughout the year, because I want to see how the game evolves. And it's nice being like in the community and being on the Reddit and seeing everyone posting memes and everyone figuring stuff out, and like the Koreans coming in like with the ultimate Sherpa, like, guys, this is what you have to do. I've been playing the game for 4 years. This is what you have to do. But I'll definitely stick around, but I'm playing cautiously. I'm gonna come in, do my dailies, and then peace out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's no rush, right? Certainly, just because of the nature of, you know, what I do when Destiny 2 comes out, I will probably just be logging in the morning, doing my dailies, and then logging out. I don't know. There's a lot of value in this game to me. It's sort of the thing where I can jump in, do a couple of events, maybe when I see, one of the islands is having an event happen at like 3 p.m. I'll log in and do that, and then log out.
You mean you log in like in the morning to make it to the 3 p.m. one because the server key?
Well, hopefully by the time but in a few weeks' time, when things have died down a bit, hopefully, that wouldn't be so much of a concern.
Yeah, the Koreans, they're saying that they're still having server queue issues until this day, but it's a bigger deal in the West, right? And they have Amazon behind them now. Amazon, a lot of people don't know that Amazon like owns a lot of servers for like people's biggest like Spotify. Amazon are the ones who host like Spotify, things like that. I was gonna say YouTube, but YouTube's Google, and I'm not sure what's happening there. But Amazon have means to expand quite rapidly.
Yeah. I have to assume that's why they were able to get all these people in so quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas like Final Fantasy 14 couldn't, right?
Yeah.
They had like a similar issue.
Ooh, I'm not too clued up on Final. Go on.
Because for Final Fantasy, I think they just couldn't get the servers in it to get all this like influx of people for the new expansion. Yeah. Whereas while server queues are still bad in Lost Ark, you can get into a queue and get into the game, which is nice.
Yeah, that is very, very true. So let's speak about the endgame activities, right? So we're going to summarize them for people who are watching and of course have gameplay. There should be gameplay on the screen regardless, right? So now it's going to be hyper focused on the activities. So we have first Chaos Dungeons. Chaos Dungeons, quite simple to explain, really. You are put on a map with in a team or solo, but it's like a small, it's like a tiny map, and it just spawns like hundreds of mobs for you to kill, and you're killing these mobs to fill up a meter. Once that meter reaches a certain threshold, a portal will open up in the middle of the map. You click on the portal and you go to the next floor, and it's a little bit harder. And on the map also there's like these crystals that have buffs, so you might have faster attack speed or whatever, and you basically rinse and repeat that until the end. It's very like bread and butter end game. You kind of, I see it as you're doing this for the sake of doing it, but I think when you first play it, it's that like you just want to kill, you just want to hit things and cast your abilities. Like it, I think it's really fun because the benefit Lost Ark has is that the combat is amazing. Like you feel so powerful when you're using these abilities, right? When you like the hit stun effect, we speak about this hit stun effect quite often. I'll bring this up all the time. When like your moves connect, the enemies like freeze and go into a stun. When you can do that to like a whole 100 enemies, it looks so good on screen. And then
fantastic,
like when you're in a group, you unintentionally like wombo combo as well. Sometimes I saw like a mage like sweep them up, like levitate them in the air, and then I came down with like my like hellfire. It's like when the berserker warrior stabs the sword in the ground and like charges up, and it just looked sick. I was like, yo, this is amazing. But it's very bread and butter. It's very bread and butter, but it was a nice first experience. It's not my favorite of the list, but what do you think of Chaos Dungeons?
I think they're really great. It's like a first experience thing. You're totally right. There's something really cool about, okay, you've hit level 50, you've got your class, you've put a bunch of skill points into like one massive ability that does a ton of damage, and then you hoard up like 50 enemies, and then you shoot off something and it just like minces through all of them. It's so great. And it's kind of a great introduction. It's a great introduction to like, you know, you want to get gear upgrades, you want to get these sort of like upgrade materials. It's very simple. You go in, you kill enemies, you leave. It's the sort of thing people have been doing to a smaller scale while I level up. So it's a good intro to me. I feel.
Definitely. Then next is Guardian Raids. Listen, I love these so much. I love Guardian Raids so much because it's taken its inspiration from Monster Hunter. Like, I'm not sure if it's on record, like the devs saying that it's from Monster Hunter, but it's got Monster Hunter written all over it. You know, you go in, you're so what they are, Guardian Raids. You are spawned on a map. There is one big monster, a guardian, who is somewhere. He's somewhere on the map, and then you have these flares, right? You can throw this flare to ping the monster on the map for a little bit, and you go over to that monster, and it's very hyper focused. It's you and your party versus this monster, and it's about endurance. I'd say it's about endurance. How well, this is when you're like, you have to dodge telegraph, you have to dodge attacks, you have to know the monster's attack patterns, you have to like counter, and like there's a counter mechanic, which I'm actually making a video about because that's one of my favorite things in games is counter mechanics. but it's very, very hyper focused, and you only have 3 lives as well. So everyone's sort of playing their heart out. No one wants to be the guy that, you know,
gets hit
fails
by
the mission. Yeah, fails the mission.
Yeah.
But Guardian raids are a bit of me, man. I love them because you even though it's an isometric ARPG,
right?
You play it the exact same way that you play Monster Hunter, that you play Dauntless. It is that through and through. Even to the end screen, the when the monster dies, it does this like this death animation, which is it's just Monster Hunter, and it is amazing. What did you think?
I had a lot of fun with it. It really is that first sort of like, so you're a new player, you get to you do a Guardian raid. It's like, okay, this is real end game, challenging, punishing content. If you're doing a dungeon as you level or whatever, you get hit by one of like the telegraphed moves, but it's fine. You take like a few thousand hit, and you're fine. Like, whatever. Yeah. In a Guardian raid, if you get swiped by like the bear or whatever, and you're not paying attention, you can get wiped out. You can get absolutely wiped out, especially if you're not a tanky class. You need to be on your toes a bit. And you're right, the 3 lives thing makes it so you don't want to be that person who's ruining runs for people. But it's a lot of fun. It's that pure sort of MMO, sort of like, we're at a boss. The boss has its own mechanics you've got to watch out for. Everyone's doing their job. Everyone's doing their thing. Just go for it. It's great. It's exactly sort of what I wanted to get thrown into with Lost Ark. Because I was worried that it would be very like hordes of enemies focused. I didn't know much about the whole game. Before I got into Lost Ark, I was like, okay, it will obviously have its like massive hordes of enemies like that, and there'll be bosses, but I'm worried that the bosses won't be super great, and it will just be about clearing out waves of enemies. But Guardian raids kind of step in and say, no, it's actually this is a real game. It has real worst boss fights. They're great. Tons of fun.
It's the real deal. That's definitely something where I went, yeah, man. These lot are serious about what they're doing. They actually want to make engaging content. It's very easy to just make a boss sponge and give it no mechanics at all, just like bullet sponge. And in Guardian raids, I forgot to say, you can't see the health bar of the monster, so you have to just go. It is endurance. You have to just go, endurance, hit, don't get hit. It is that simple. Hit and don't get hit. But I had a lot of fun with it. And you even harvest the monster at the end, just like in Monster Hunter, which is fantastic. I feel like that's going to be a lot of people's like smiling at the game moment. Then you are introduced to Abyssal raids. No, Abyssal dungeons. Sorry. Abyssal dungeons are modified versions of the dungeons you would have played in the level like 1 to 50 on your story, and but the bosses change, so they're like, you might see things that were in the first time were in the dungeon the first time you done it in like in the story, and then they've modified it. And this caught me by surprise, dude, because you kind of work your way through. There's one boss, right? That's like a smaller boss, but that boss has mechanics to it. There's things you have to do to progress, or you will get wiped. It's like team wipe mechanic. If you don't complete the requirement, you will die. It's gonna one shot the whole team. And I was like, oh, you know when you have to sit up in your chair? I play Lost Ark quite relaxed. My chair's reclined all the way back. I'm chilling. When I got wiped the first time, I was like, oh, so we're getting serious in this game now. Is that what's happening? And then if that wasn't bad enough, then there's the final main boss. And I didn't expect to have to be typing to my group to figure out what was happening, what was going on. And I think that was something that I always loved, even with, I'll speak about Destiny, because Destiny is one of those games that it always brings out new mechanics. And it's always, you have to figure out what to do. And I've always loved figuring stuff out. And it was nice being in a group where you have to figure out some of these boss mechanics, because it was tricky, and this is not easy. It's not easy. What did you think when you were playing the Abyssal Dungeons?
I was so happy there was like some real good challenging content that takes us back to the dungeons. Leveling, I was going through certain dungeons. I'm like, oh, this is really sick. Like, it's kind of a pushover when you're leveling, but it's like, this is cool. I like this. Going back, it is really. it really takes up to another level. And I had a lot of fun because playing a sharpshooter, I'm a ranged DPS. I kind of just do my thing. I throw out my damage. I couldn't imagine the stress of being like a support.
Melee. Oh, support?
Or no, a melee. No, you're right, because melee get wiped out like nothing. But like being like someone whose job it is to keep people going and keep people buffed up for it. Nah.
Yeah. Oh, saying that, Abyssal Dungeons, you spoke about supports, bards and paladins. Listen,
fantastic.
you have to praise them, because they are the ones keeping everyone
alive.
They deserve, and you feel it as well. You feel the difference. Your confidence goes up when you have a shield that's taken up like quarter of your life bar. You play with more confidence when you were low, but now you're being healed, right? Oh, that's another thing as well. That's another mechanic in Abyssal Dungeons. You have limited heals. Same thing with Guardian raids. I forgot to mention. You can't just press and spam through your whole inventory's worth of heals. There's a point. There's checkpoints that serve as sort of like refresher zones, so you can you can upgrade. Not upgrade. You can get more heals out, get more battle items out, and So these bosses are no joke. This team wipe, like I think I wiped about on like the final part, because they split the dungeon into 2 parts, and then in the final section, I think I wiped about 7 times me and this team. And like, when there's certain things that you see like in the early game, I saw there's this option to like repair your gear, like when I was leveling, right? And I was like, what is this? Like my armor's not really being damaged.
And you're swapping it out so much as you're leveling, it's not even really a thing you think about.
Exactly. And I was like, so what's the point in this? So basically, when you're playing Abyssal Dungeons, when you wipe, your armor like breaks basically. And you have to go back and repair your armor. And it makes us like, okay, that's what this is here for now. Right. So all of your gear just gets absolutely smashed. But it was really engaging. And I think it's easy to look at an isometric ARPG, and just think it's gonna just be cakewalk, everything's going to be a bullet sponge. But when you're doing actual mechanics, when there's things like so there's of course like team wipes, there's also like damage checks as well, which I don't think people like knew about, like having to do a damage check phase, because people saw like the monster channeling something, but they don't know what's happening, but they can see like a bar underneath. And the first time it happened, I was quite happy, because I know about like what a damage check is. It felt nice being the one to say to my team, yo, it's a damage check, here's what you have to do. When that happens, like, he's not going to hit you, but we need to make sure that little health bar,
your job,
you need to like pump damage in. And that was a really nice feeling. Everyone was like, GG at the end, and all that. It was awesome. I hope that gameplay...
It's that sort of content that causes those pop-ups, right? When you finally overcome something like that, for sure.
It's just intense, dude. It's just very, very intense. But it's a welcome challenge. It's a very, very welcome challenge. To see bigger RPG mechanics scaled to fit into an isometric ARPG is class, man. And they that deserves a lot of praise. Anything else to add on Abyssal Dungeons?
Yeah, it kind of acts as like a barrier to harder content, Abyssal Dungeons. Yeah. So you have to know, what the boss's like stamina or structure bar is, and the importance of breaking that. You have to know what your class does. You have to, if you're a melee DPS, get into the practice of back attacks, and making the most of that stuff. It kind of forces people who get to that point to figure out all the mechanics they may have been spamming G and skipping past as they level. So then when they get to that higher tier content, there's no... Ideally, they know what they're doing. There's always some. But...
This is definitely... If Guardian raids weren't like a
taster, right?
It's like a wall, right? Because I think every game like that requires you to be like good. Every game has like a wall. It says when you get to this wall, it basically is saying, if you can't get past this right now, like, we can't introduce you to the next content because you will get slapped.
Which is good, because if you're the sort of player who gets to like those next stages, you don't want to have to deal with like a bunch of people who don't necessarily know what's going on. So like, it is good. It's necessary.
But Abyssal Dungeons, super fun. And then we have we're gonna breeze through these because these ones aren't as
these ones aren't as like challenging or like endgame like progressive, but they are just cool little, pretty neat side game things.
The dailies and weeklies, I haven't done any of them at the moment.
You've not been doing your dailies?
I haven't been doing my dailies, man. I am going to, but you know what it is? I think our position's a little bit different when we have to like cover the games as well as like enjoy it. So
that is true, yeah.
We have a separate tab open, noting things down, and we have to capture video content as well. I've been a little bit swamped with this game. There's just a lot going on all the time.
Yeah.
So weeklies, they've been put on the back burner for now, which I'm fine with. What they offer doesn't look too like the weeklies might offer a bit more, but the dailies don't look like they offer too much. I might be wrong, but still early on, right?
Yeah. Immediately they give you like some nice little like resources like silver and upgrading materials and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm fairly sure you get there's like a progression for dailies. They give you some better rewards. But again, I haven't done a huge amount of them. I only hit like endgame relatively recently, and like you, I have not done a huge amount.
Yeah.
But you gotta do your dailies.
I will get into it once I get my bearings, and I'm like, because I'm still figuring this game out. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of stuff to figure out. I'm still figuring it out. I don't want to like put dailies on top of that to sort of make matters worse and confuse. It's not like I'm confused in a good way. It's more like intrigue. I'm like having to puzzle and figure out what the loop is. So when I'm off playing other games, or when I just want to jump into Lost Ark just for like a couple of hours, I can be like, I know what I'm actually doing. But Una's tasks, which are the dailies and weeklies.
Pretty great. I like how they send you all over the place. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I like how certain dailies send you to different islands, because like otherwise you just sit where you are or go to like the ideal spots to do like get 5 timber. It's like, no, you got to actually travel places and do things.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that. It does take more time, but I like that about it.
It's a time, man. It's too time consuming. I'm trying to
it's an MMO.
Bosses.
It's an MMO. You knew you were getting into that. You knew it was going to be like that.
Oh god, it's the truth.
And it's one character.
Yeah.
Your sister has like, yours has like what, 6 slots? 8?
Yeah. Oh, bro, I saw something on Reddit. Yeah, it was like a checklist of like the most optimal daily like loop for the end game, and I promise you now, it looked like a day job. It was like, come in, do 2 Chaos Dungeons, 2 Guardian Raids, 2 Abyssals, then go into your next character, do the same thing there, but only do the tower on 1 character, but you want to transfer from your 3rd character over to your 1st character. I was like, what? This is no.
I have no doubt these people know exactly what they're talking about and are giving good advice for people who are super focused on being as efficient as possible. I have no doubt, but I have a job. I can't spend this much time on that. I can't do it.
It's
my evenings, I like to relax a bit on the evening. I can't.
Yeah. Like that is a different type of player. It's no secret that people engross themselves in games.
It's good that those sorts of players have these options, right?
Yeah.
To be as efficient as possible and get all this done and stuff, right? Because even though I might be like, whatever, I want to do my dailies now, I'll skip a day, whatever. The sort of players who want to get everything perfect, there's perfect ways of doing it, and it's important.
That is very true. And you know what? That is a balancing issue for the devs, right? Because you have to balance the game and give players who only can put in a few hours a day, or maybe even 1 or 2 hours a day, you have to balance the game for that person, but you have to balance the game and make sure there's enough content for the person who is going to play this game day in, day out. You know what I mean? Like multiple hours a day across the whole year, you know what I mean? So it's like, where's the sweet spot? Like, as a developer, where's the sweet spot of balance where you can cater for both? I think Lost Ark is doing a great job from what I can see. Maybe not great, but I can't say. But it looks like it's doing a good job. It has enough content for the people that want to go all in, but it has enough content for people that want to hop in for an hour every couple of days. You know what I mean?
People who rush through it will inevitably hit the quote unquote end and be like, well, all I got to do now is dailies, and to a point, there's not much you can do about those people. You know, they find enjoyment through powering through to end game as quick as possible. Lost Ark has a lot of smaller things like collectibles that give bonuses and stuff, and there's PvP as well. Yeah, that'd be all right.
Yeah. Oh my god, PvP's not even on this list. You know, I don't know why I didn't put PvP on the list. It should be there. I played PvP when they first introduced it in Lutera. I went in thinking, oh yeah, man, I played League of Legends, man. I'm good in here.
You got a brain for it. No.
The way I got slapped was not funny. And like, when you don't know the mechanics and what all the other classes do, I was basically just on the floor, stun locked for the whole match. And I said, do you know what? I'll come back to this later when I'm level 50. Even though that it's balanced, it's like equalized, so no one's coming in with better gear. It's just choose your skills and go in. I still thought, okay, I am inexperienced and I am not having fun with this just being stunned. I'll come back to it later, which I do need to go to. That's it. Once again, it plays into how much there actually is in this game. A whole PvP system, 1v1, 2v2, PvP, elimination, TDM, a whole load of stuff there. The tower, did you go into the tower?
Tower's great. I love the tower. Just like a floor by floor progression up through like progressively harder and harder and harder challenges.
Yeah.
It's classic. If you play like Devil May Cry, that's a thing in Devil May Cry. It's brilliant. It's just really cool. And the rewards are really great from the tower as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's endless. I don't think it's endless.
I think 50 floors.
Yeah.
I think 50 floors are top. It's just, it's not like a core part of the progression up through tiers of content.
Yeah.
But it's challenging and you can only do it when you're 50 and it's pretty fun as well.
Yeah. Agreed.
I like the tower a lot.
Yeah. And that is actually all I've played so far. There is like a lot of other things. So there's in T1, there's also cube dungeons, right? So cube dungeons, I'm not too clued up on what they are, like what the differences are, but to get into a cube dungeon, you need to go into chaos dungeons, get a ticket to drop, and then once that ticket drops, you have access to the cube dungeon,
which I love, by the way. It's not, that means it's not just like once a day you do a cube dungeon. It's like you're doing your chaos dungeons, you're doing whatever, and then you get a ticket. You're like, oh, sick! I can take this to the cube dungeon, get some extra rewards. It's great.
So that's all we're gonna discuss in this video. But just know there is so many things. There is actual raids, so Guardian raids are like its own thing, but raids in the traditional sense, there's this thing called boss rush where it is smaller bosses, but it's just like back-to-back bosses coming in. There is visiting the different islands, which are listen, because I don't think many people know about these islands, because the map in this game is huge. It is massive. And so in between the main continents, because that's a thing in this game, that you actually have a boat, you can travel on the sea, and that's probably like one of my favorite things, is just traveling on the sea. And then as you're going from continent to continent, you'll see smaller islands. And as I was playing, because you get to go into the open seas quite early, and I never went to these islands because I just thought they're just nothing. They are everything. They are
so important.
They are very important. For one,
some of them have some incredibly important. You get like emotes you need to unlock secret passageways. It's like there's so much.
Yeah, and like that's where all of the interesting quests are. I'd say if you want like funny, interesting quests, I've seen ones with penguins, pandas, pirates. I've been to one with like, it's just covered in sunflowers. It has to do with like art. Go to these islands, you will have a lot of fun, and they are very, very worthwhile. Then there is the like chaos gates, then there's the ghost ships, then there's the field bosses, like world bosses. Endgame, there's the trade skills as well, and then you have your strongholds that you can, that's like your housing system. And then there is the collectibles, which just seems infinite. I saw a post on Reddit of a guy who's 100%ed all of the collectibles, and I was like, bro,
you got to get to work getting your 1,200 Makoko seeds, mate.
Yeah. The Makoko, I quite like the Makoko, like just seeing them. Like I'm not actively looking for them, but when like I see one in the corner of my eye, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna go grab that. But I don't think I'd ever go for
I can change your mind on that real quick. If you go back to the first town into the church, if you run across the back wall, there's a secret room that you can just walk through and get, and there are just 2 Makoko seeds just hidden off map.
Okay.
There's no indicator that it's not like in Diablo where you walk into a secret room and then a room appears.
Yeah,
You're just walking into like the void, and you just have to kind of feel your way around, and there are 2 Makoko seeds hidden in the church. Yeah.
Now that you said it, I'm definitely, when I go back, I will go and check it out. Because that's another thing as well, right? When you go to these like islands, these islands, actually, that's actually worth saying. There's actually islands, and then there's adventure islands. I think there's a difference between the two. So one's for like questing, and then one's for like more mission and group based content. But on these islands, like you might think that the other areas in the game, you won't go back to them because you've progressed past them. When you go to these islands, they will send you back to these places. You will go back, and while you're there, that's when you can go back and do some of your other side quests as well. I'm looking forward to trying the real raids, right? The big gargantuan, real deal raids. That's what I'm looking forward to. What are you looking forward to trying out?
I want to get some more characters leveled up, which sounds crazy, but like to try and get a character fully geared out, you need a lot of like enhancement materials. You need sort of stuff to get your gear better. So I want to try and get some characters leveled up so I can funnel resources to one character, so I can start skyrocketing up. It means that I'll be back to questing a bit. Although now they have those passes, right? If you're on Western servers, you get power passes to max level stuff. So I'll just do that, and then I'll focus on my one character and get them up. I'm gonna leave PvP for a bit because that's a whole nother world I'm not quite ready for.
Whole different ball game. So the loop is basically you do these activities, right, to get materials. You take those materials to upgrade the loot that you would have gotten from these activities also, and then once you bring them to this NPC who hones your gear. It's called gear honing. And this is basically your loop. Everything that you do, you get materials to funnel into this gear honing. Once you hone your gear, you level up your individual pieces, so your chest, your helmet, armor, all of that stuff. You bring it all up, and that's how you then go back into harder difficulty gear, and thus the cycle continues, right? You just keep going on and on, and this is what MMORPGs are. You look for what you want, you upgrade what you want, you use what you have to go back into the harder difficulties to keep upgrading, and you're just perfecting your build. Once you have something in mind, you kind of work your way towards it, and that's the loop, man. That's the loop. I think I see someone say MMOs or Lost Ark. He's addressing Lost Ark. Lost Ark isn't fun because you just do your dailies and that's it. And I'm just like, have you never played an MMO before? Like, this is what it's like. There's a loop. There is something that you're actively working towards, and you need to like sort of set yourself a little goal. You know what I mean? And
there's so much extra stuff to do.
Collecting
stuff. I know not everyone likes collecting stuff, but it's there, right? It's like it's there, and you just gotta go and find it, right? It's just if you want stuff to do, it's there. You just gotta open your mind to it, kind of.
Yeah, but I like the loop. Man. It's quite simple. There's quite a lot of like nuances to it, like the engraving system and faceting your engravings. So it's like you get these gems which have like skills attached to them, and it is really weird. Like it's like you have to like you're trying to get points towards your skill on this like skill stone, and there's like a percentage whether or not it's gonna unlock. So you can get like the skill you want to drop, but then you have another barrier that is saying RNG might screw you over here big time, and you might not get the points in it that you want because it's a percentage base, and that's very time consuming, by the way, and that's not a system I actually like. I'll say that for free. I don't like the faceting system. They need to I'm not a fan. What do you reckon?
I think they need a way to keep people grinding for their perfect build for a while. and to fill that purpose, it does its job, right?
Yeah. Oh, is that the cold hard truth? Is that the bitter pill to swallow?
You need people to get their perfect builds up.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yep.
It is what it is.
That is another way of extending the process, right? Of MMORPGs, which is very smart. Where am I in my notes? Because we're gonna wrap this up now. You added something into the notes, right?
No, I just added little notes next to each bit.
Yeah.
Cube Dungeons are cool and stuff.
Yeah. Lost Ark is wicked, man. Lost Ark is wicked. Not a lot of games come out and just truly fun from the start. Of course, the servers are a big issue right now. But I mean, I've got good hopes that they will address them.
It will get better over time. And I was kind of blindsided by Lost Ark's popularity. There were like whisperings about how it's going to be like the next big MMO, but you hear that so many times. New World was meant to be the next big MMO.
Fair.
But like, no, it's really come out and it's really great. It's really fun. It's like at its core really fun.
Yeah.
The gameplay. So I'll be playing it for some time, and I'm excited to jump back into it. Let's go get any queues.
Most definitely. Right. That has been Dorrani and Connor from VG 24/7. It's turned into a little podcast, to be honest.
Close on 50 minutes.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be like 20 minutes, but turns out we had more to say. But I'm going to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed listening to us. If you are a Lost Ark fan, tell us what class you're playing. What class are you playing right now? And tell us why Warrior Berserker is the best class in the game. Anything else is wrong.
So wrong.
Let us know how you're finding the game. We're enjoying it. Make sure you check out VG 24/7. We've got loads of guides to help you go through and make your life easier. But I'd say take it slow, take it easy, and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out, everyone.
See ya.